Alright, it is a Thursday, 9:15 a.m., October the 21st, and this is the main watch list. I do want to know, I do have a position in Bitcoin from like 69 flats since I think yesterday, if not the day before yesterday. And this one is just a setup I'm in because of the fact that Bitcoin is breaking out into all-time highs, and I use Brave browser. It didn't make me that much money, but it was like I think easy 50 or $100 because I was getting Bitcoin when this thing was like in the, what was it, like in the 20 cent region. It was like a very low price. It doesn't show here because it wasn't on Coinbase when it was 20 cents, but I do have a position there, and it does look like it did get as high as I wanted to really sell it. I just want to go for something where it just keeps putting up higher lows and see if it can try to make a run towards its previous resistance levels. But it did get as high as 72.8 or 72.9, almost 73. I don't know if I would have sold there, but that is nice, something cool to look at. I don't know if I disclose my amount. It's like I don't know how many Bitcoin, but it's like $1,000 position there. Again, just going for higher lows. Is not the first time I've swing traded a cryptos. So you know, let's see if this one can work with the overall markets turning around. And I'm not gonna sell it right where it is at 70. You know, I'd rather sell for a loss than to sell it like right at 70 where it could do a lot of potential, especially if the run up continues to happen, the whole thing with Bitcoin. But this is the main watch list here. It hasn't really changed actually. I just don't see anything else that I really want to add, but I will keep looking. It's still early. ALPP, you know, it's a listed stock, so I'm probably going to remove this because I don't necessarily, you know, first of all, I think if I wanted to do that short setup, I'm probably too late. And if it's a listed stock, I don't want to be up at like, you know, I don't want to be at my computer at freaking like 7 a.m. right? I don't want to do that. I honestly don't. I already sleep late enough to need to wake up at 7 a.m. That's a bit too much. But it was a number 6 pattern, and that, you know, had a run up, right? I guess it shows more here, but yeah, I guess it's not a number 6. No, it's a number 4 pattern. You know, when it put up the lower high, I guess right here, which isn't that really significant, but it did downtrend, and it could have been like the sell the news kind of thing when ALPP became a listed stock. I think it's a great learning experience, but I don't mind that I missed it. Again, I still have a long way to go learning these setups, doing more than just the morning panic bounce plays. PUGE, speaking about that, is a morning panic bounce play potential. AHFT is going to be a watch. Maybe it'll do some kind of reversal, but I don't know, maybe ideally it could drop more and turn around, but it is a sub penny, and you know, every little tick on the sub penny, especially under, you know, that 50 level, it's just really significant in terms of percentage, and I don't necessarily like that. SFOR, this one's sketchy. I don't like the way this one trades, but I guess it could be a morning panic bounce play if it looks clean. ALYI could be one as well, especially if it breaks this, what is this, this 23 level. That would be pretty nice. IGEX, this one ideally a reversal day, although it's kind of mid-range. It's not necessarily, I guess it's closer to the bottom, but it's not the best. This one could be a reversal. I don't consider it as something that will be good for a morning panic bounce play, but if it looks clean, I'll consider it. Right, but I'm gonna go for a reversal. And BTZI, I'd like to short this one. It is a stock I can trade like a not so tiny size. I can short like $160 position because I can short 1,000 shares with that $2.50 rule. It is kind of far off of the EMA4, but I mean, it's been drastically above it before, so it's nothing out of the ordinary. MTRT, I probably don't want to trade this one. I'll remove it. It's going to be on the other watch list. You know, maybe if it can consolidate and then break out of this range, I guess maybe 248, because I think this was like an attempted breakout over that level, which failed. That could be a possibility, but for right now, I probably won't be interested in it. So yeah, that's what I have for right now. I'll keep looking. Maybe there was some other first day runners or something like that. I want to stay away from listed stocks. I know there are some that are moving, but I feel like those are just, at least for me, kind of scalpy to trade. Even though that setup with HTZZ, it was, you could basically call it a scalp. The idea I had in mind, and I think I traded this the best I could have yesterday. This thing was best case scenario. That's really cool. I probably won't trade HTZZ either. I'm not really interested in shorting the bounce per se, because it's like a real stock. It's not like a pump and dump. So yeah, that's what I have for right now. Alright, it is 9:47 a.m. and as for morning panic bounce plays, PUGE technically did one here. And in theory, I could have actually have traded it because it was playing off of this 13 level and that it was panicking. It broke under 13, but it immediately came back above 13, which was a significant level. So that could have been the entry there, but the way this one trades to me was kind of nasty looking. I mean, sure, I could have traded it in theory, but the way this one trades is like, it trades in a certain way that you almost have to chase to be in a setup. And I don't want to chase, so I never got any of my money just because of the way it trades. But maybe it just doesn't have enough volume, or there's something wrong with it. But I didn't trade it in theory. I could have though if I really tried. But I don't regret that at all. And then I was interested in this here, the higher low setup. For a brief moment it was 130, as you can see, by 131 at the ask, and I could have taken 131, but it was immediately taken out, and then it was like 130 by 133, and I don't want to trade such a large spread, so I never traded it. It is working, but again, the way this one traded is so gross that it never got any of my money. But I'm sure if I tried really hard I could have been into it, but at the end of the day it wasn't necessarily the best morning panic bounce play. I think at its most it was down maybe like I guess 14 to 12.7, so 14 to 13, that's just basically about 8%. I mean, it could have been much worse. At least it did play out. At least the pattern is there, but I didn't get in this one just because of the way it traded once again. But I think it was still a good learning experience. It just never got any of my money, which sucks, But again, at least the setup is working. ALYI, I was looking at it, but I didn't really like the way it was trading, the way it was dropping. But it did have like that big volume bottom, I guess, and it did do a move there, but the volume isn't really there in theory. I mean, it's just a low price to stock, and it just wasn't really ideal, so I never traded this one. I did remove some other ones that were just looking ugly. And speaking about ugly, that's nice. BTZI is finally having its first significant crash. I will be interested in shorting this if it puts up a lower high. That's at a range I'm very comfortable with, but for now it's going to be a watch. It could almost be a dip buy right here, but I think I'm too slow for that. In theory, if I wanted to be quick, I would do this. Right, I already have 50,000 shares. Yeah, I'm not trading an $8,000 position. SFOR, nothing here. The way it's trading, it's just not really that nice. IGEX, kind of ugly, no price action here. I'm probably going to remove these. They're still on the other watch list, but it's not going to be in this one. I want to focus on the nicer setups. And these two aren't necessarily having the volume today to be trading, maybe later. And again, it'll still be on the other watch list, and I will remove PG just because the way it trades is kind of disgusting, but still on the other watch list. I will keep looking at I guess BTZI is really the main stock. ALYI, it could do something, but not right now. Again, I still have the watch list on the other screen. If there's something really nice, I'll be interested in it, but I'll probably just focus on BTZI for a potential short. I'm not, I don't have to trade it, but if it can do like a nice number 6 pattern, I will be interested in doing that. Why not? Right now, this is technically the number 5 pattern. The I guess the bounce if it works here, but if it keeps dropping, then maybe later. Alright, it is 10:12 a.m. and BTZI is looking like a tsunami type panic stock, which means I will be interested in retackling this around maybe 11:30 for that type of reversal, ideally an inverse head and shoulders at that same time frame. Of course, it could try to turn around here it could try to turn around at any point before 11 a.m. But there's just something about the time that when it's around 11 a.m. it just seems to be more likely something that is going to turn around. So I guess I'll just remove this and change it into a number 5. I'm not going to just randomly be short any of this, although this was pretty cool. I would have liked it if it had this nice downtrend, which it did here, and then it comes back, puts up a lower high from here, and then that would be nice to short into, but it just kept downtrending. I mean, it's a pump, but it was a pretty impressive one. And it really, looking at the intraday charts, there was really no point where you would have maybe have considered the idea that this thing's going to have a downtrend like it is right now, unless you want to count the wick right here. But I don't think you know, this would have been something that you could have been short profitably, unless you're just, you know, shorting because it's the 4th day or whatever, or because it is very far at the time from EMA 4, right? But I guess maybe it might try to bottom at EMA 4. Maybe that's a sign where there's going to be a bottom, at least a higher chance. I'll keep that into consideration. I haven't really experimented with that very much, but I did try one trade, just one. I didn't try any of this mess right here, and when I did take a trade, I didn't really have the best risk reward in terms of like, where am I gonna cut it, where am I not gonna cut it. So I was in at 15. That was 10:03, and that was my order on the bid. It got executed at 15, which is right here actually at 10:03, and it immediately started to fail. And I thought, all right, well, it's failing, when am I going to cut it? I was thinking, give or take this wick right here, 462. Then it broke it very briefly, 10:04, and then I thought, all right, well, it broke just a little under it, but if it breaks under that part, then I'll cut it. So 10:05, I did cut it at 14.59, which was right about here, 10:05. 14.59, and it's a good thing I did cut it, because if I didn't cut it, this would have sucked. You know, getting a sell right there, that would have been pretty bad. And it did try one more time to turn around, but it failed ultimately. And now it broke under 14. Is it trying to regain itself now? Perhaps, but I have no interest in trading it. I will just be watching it and learning from it. If it does some kind of 11 a.m. reversal, that would be great. Or maybe the 3 ticker rule, I might consider that as well here, but I'd rather just continue to watch this. I'm not gonna try again for you know, a dip buy unless it's that time period, and again, that inverse head and shoulders. I've learned my lessons before, you know, trying to retackle it a bunch of times, and sometimes it works, but then it works just a little bit. That was pretty brutal. I'm actually surprised it did something like that. Wow, that's incredible. Just wow. Now it's at 13. Yeah, I'm not going to consider this for a dip buy unless it's that 11 a.m. reversal thing, which is plenty of time for today. So I'll just keep looking at this. I'm not really looking at the other stocks. This is the play. This was pretty incredible. And now we have that big spike. I'll keep watching this. Alright, it is 10:26 a.m. and just a small update. Something I probably should have considered here, which is one of my notes: morning panic or 11 a.m. tsunami panic reversal long. And my entry was at 10:05. So, you know, it's not an exact science, but I'll probably just make a rule that I'll go for morning panic bounce plays. But if it's 10 o'clock, I'll probably not consider morning panic bounce plays anymore if it's afterwards, just so I avoid something which could be, like in this case here, a tsunami type panic. I don't think I went over how much I lost. It was just 12 bucks. Not a bad size, $450 position. I was interested at one point with 4,000 shares, but I kind of dropped it to 3 because it was kind of looking a bit weird. But yeah, this thing can go to 15, this thing can go to 20, I don't care. I'll just continue to watch and learn from this price action, really. And if we get to 11 or 11:30 a.m. and some kind of higher low, ideally again inverse head and shoulders, that would be great. But probably should have kept this in mind. I think I'll just make a new rule that if it's like after 10, I'll probably stop considering morning panic bounce plays, because at that point they're less likely going to work, and it's more likely going to potentially be like this again once again a tsunami type panic stock. Alright, it is 10:49 and it looks like it's trying to potentially do the head of an inverse head and shoulders here. Maybe if I was super into it, I would have tried a trade and maybe get in at like 12.6 or something like that, 12.7, and say, alright, well, you know, this is probably the head of the inverse head and shoulders. It's going to uptrend, I'll make a shoulder, and hopefully that shoulder doesn't get below the head or it just keeps downtrending. It did uptrend. I mean, it got as high as 13.23. And you know, I would have probably have considered a larger size. I had 8,000 shares at first, not 10,000 until now, and you know, it could totally be that thing. And I'm just like, oh well, you know, I mean, at a great price, it's going to do the inverse head and shoulders. It won't get below the head, and it'll turn around. But I'm not going to do that just because that's a bit more. I don't know. I just don't want to push myself too much at once. But I am considering this if it does the inverse head and shoulders. The whole thing around 11 a.m. It's 10:50. I don't want to be too early just because I'm watching this, so I am looking at other stuff, just watching random YouTube videos. And the only other thing that kind of worries me is that this day right here was a nice uptrending day, but as you can tell, it really gave all of its gains back from this day in just one red day. So this thing could just continue the downtrend, although I guess even if it closed here or even at its lowest here at 17, it's still up massively from, you know, a 5 penny stock level. So you know, that could also be the thing. But in theory, I could have tried to have been in at 12.6, maybe 12.7 with like an 8,000 share position, which would have been kind of cool, right? 12.7, let's just say, and it's at 12.95 right now, which is cool and all, but the idea is that it's going to try to do that 11 a.m. reversal, and the goal will be VWAP, which at 14 would be, right, that would be, is that the right price? Yep. And then at 12.7, yeah, that would be kind of nice. That'd be like $104 or something like that. So yeah, that's what I have in mind, and that would have been with 8,000 shares. This thing can fail, you know, and head lower, but it's just less likely. It can still do it though. I'll be watching this for that potential 11 a.m. reversal. Alright, it is 11:24 and I got out of my trade, probably premature, but this is probably the closest I've been to trading a Tsunami type morning panic bounce play. My entry was pretty good. I held on to the trade pretty well. I think my sell was probably a bit premature again. I probably could have sold at 13.3. It's at the bid, a very strong 13.3. I sold while it was still looking very nice, but I did make $47. This was a 3% move, $1,200 position. I could have traded a $2,600 position with 20,000 shares, but I don't know. I mean, it's the point is just to get better with the setups, not trying to like make a home run, like all in whatever is, you know, like just something crazy. I'm just trying to get really experience with these type of setups, and this was a good first real attempt. I think this is the first morning panic, I guess Tsunami type morning panic 11 a.m. reversal trade. This is the first time I tried it, and again I went a larger size because of the fact that, you know, this setup seems to really work out. I mean, it's at 13.4. I was in at, you know, my entry price was, dollar price was 12.64, right? Even if I were to have sold right now, that would have been a lot more than my 13.1, so that would have been, yeah, that would have been literally just a few seconds, and I missed out on $20. But this was a pretty good attempt. Now, sometimes they don't get towards VWAP. Maybe this one will. Maybe it'll put up a higher low, and then it'll make a run towards VWAP. It can totally do something like that, or it can even go past it, which is super nice. And I don't, yeah, it won't. I mean, it can, but it probably won't go green on the day. That's probably like best case scenario if it goes green on the day. VWAP is plenty enough, if you ask me. Again, the only thing I regret was my sell. I think I could have sold a little better, and on top of that, I could have probably have went a larger size, but you know, that's totally fine. It's just me trying to get better at the setup. If I would have went, you know, 20,000 shares, I would have made yeah, I would have made like just under $100, which would have been cool. It's at 3.1. Yeah, this is technically where I sold at 3.1, which was I guess we'll go over my entry exit. I haven't done that. I was in 1107. I'm really happy with this setup. This wasn't some stupid scalpy degenerate mess. This was like an actual trade setup. 1107, 1265. So I guess right about here, give or take, right here in this range. And I held for a while, and I sold at 1123, which was this candle right here. This one, yeah, this green one at the bottom at yeah, 13.1, which is fine. I guess 13.12, so I can't cry that much. 13.12. It did get as high as 13.5, and I sold at 13.1, so that's $40 that I did miss out on. But it would have been hard to sell at the highs, I think. But definitely a sell at 13.3, 13.4 could have been possible. So I probably left maybe $20 off the table, and I could have also have went double my size, but that's totally fine. This could try to be maybe a higher low. So inverse head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder. 11 a.m. setup, down over 20% on the day, first red day, and then it makes a higher low. But I don't really want to trade that. But it can head towards VWAP. I mean, it could totally do it, and it can try to get even above it. And best case scenario is it goes green on the day, which I think that would be kind of crazy if it does. But that would mean a lot of shorts got squeezed too, for something crazy like that to happen. It does have a lot of volume. That's an impressive amount of volume. So yeah, I'll just continue to watch this and see what it does. I'm very happy with that trade. The first one, I could have avoided that, honestly, because, you know, like that new rule, you know, after 10 a.m., if it's just not going to be a morning panic bounce week before 10 a.m., I'll stay away from it, because then it could be like a tsunami panic play, whatever you call it, like it was with all of this right here. I'm happy I tried that 11 a.m. setup. It also did an inverse head and shoulders, which really helps, because sometimes it doesn't really make an inverse head and shoulders. It just has one more dip at 11 a.m. And maybe you think you're in at the dip, and then it, you know, as you approach 11:30, it actually hits the bottom, and that would suck too. So that's pretty cool. I'll make an update again to see what this does later. I don't know how much I'm up on the day. I'm gonna guess what, 30 something, $35 perhaps. I really like it. I could have even went again larger, and I could have sold at a better price too. I just need to keep having more guts. But that was my first like setup where I actually purposely tried, you know, a larger size at once. You know, it wasn't like a morning panic and it kind of broke the range a little. Let me add one more time here. No, this was all in and out, so that's pretty cool. Alright, it is 12:58, and I want to make an update. BTZI. This thing failed here. What could have been the potential not cup and handle, the inverse head and shoulder second higher low. It broke, and then it started playing around with the lows and just putting off lower highs, and it did do one attempt to break past it after putting up this low near the all-day low, and then it officially, you know, right around here, we just broke it, and it just made this nice and nasty little downtrend to 11. That is pretty crazy. It's now down 32% on the day, and I have zero interest in trading it. I could have made a lot more money. I could have went 20,000 shares, and I could have easily sold at 13.3 or even 13.4, but definitely 13.2, 13.3. And that would have made today, I don't know, maybe like $160 instead of the $47.50 that I made. But I mean, considering the fact that this setup ultimately failed, I mean, it didn't even get towards VWAP, right? I think I did that pretty well, and that's really all I have here. I'm not gonna go over any of the other ones because none of those are really interesting. And yeah, so that's a pretty impressive move. Nice downtrend, but hey, I'm up on the day. I traded an okay size for what it was, and I'm more prepared next time we get something like this as well. Alright, it is 4:30 and I am here to call it off. BTZI continued the downtrend. I finished maybe 35 bucks on the day. 2 trades, and one of them was way back at 10:03, which I really shouldn't have traded, you know, because when the morning I don't want to sound like you know, like a record just saying the same thing over and over again, but no more morning panic bounce plays after 10, because they're just less likely going to work. Sure, some of them actually do something nice, but most of the time they don't, especially if it's gradually fading like this. And that was that one trade there. And then I traded much larger. I could have made a lot more, could have traded larger, could have sold better, but I mean, for something that ultimately never even touched VWAP, that's actually you know, something I shouldn't be too upset. My second trade again was 11:07 right here, you know, inverse head and shoulders, 11 a.m. reversal, down, you know, more than 20, I think 20% on the day at least at the time. First red day, a lot of good things going in favor. It ultimately got as high as what, 13.5, so not that much, and I sold 11.23. I could have done a lot better. I sold right when that candle was about to, you know, really make a move towards the upside, but it's not really that bad. I was looking at this one too. In theory, you know, I might have considered shorting it, but honestly, I don't want to short a stock that's apparently, you know, working to make a new social media platform that isn't going to, you know, just be Big Brother. You know, why not just let it do whatever it wants, even if it would have been very profitable. This one is pretty cool, nice runner. I never saw this. I need to consider looking at listed stocks from now on. I think there was another one, I think it was HX or something like that. Wow, this one really sold off. And yeah, I need to really look at these listed stocks, because I do like that setup where it just holds VWAP and it keeps uptrending. But this is hindsight, you know, this one really worked out, but sometimes they don't, or they move nicely but not too much. I might have maybe seen it at some point, and then, you know, at this point I'm like, oh, I don't want to chase it anymore, especially when it started to get all halty. I wouldn't have been interested in trading it anymore. But it's pretty cool. I just don't like listed stocks because they seem very jumpy. The setups are very scalpy sometimes, and then it has like these sketchy wicks or big red candles that makes it hard for, you know, you to cut losses quickly. But that's a cool one right here. That's all I have. Really happy that I tried, you know, that setup. Something I've seen many times before. It's gotten to the point where I just had a trade with it with some decent size. It could have went larger again, but you know, this is a pattern in development, and I'm going to keep working towards it. This one never got to VWAP. Sometimes they get towards it, sometimes they get right under it, sometimes they go further past it, sometimes they go to the red or green line, sometimes they finish up on the day. This one wasn't worst case scenario because it did make a move, but it could have been much worse. That's really all I have. I'm really happy with that trade there. A lot of things that could have done better, but you know, I think it's a step in the right direction.